Hey guys, it's Graham. What's cracking? This is my review of Trouble Walked In by Mike Kupari, a book that came highly recommended, and after having finished it, I can say for good reason. Before I get to all of the good stuff, let me just get an observation out of the way, a critique, we'll say. I read The Family Business by him, I don't know, 2, 3 years ago. And in a lot of ways, this book, Trouble Walked In, is very similar to it. It follows a lot of the same beats. There's a guy who runs a small business. He's single, he's a veteran, and he's got a cute secretary. The difference between the two of them in this one is that the main character ends up hooking up with a cute client, and in family business, he hooks up with his cute secretary. They take what is a seemingly normal case that is right up in their wheelhouse, and then they, in the process of solving it, end up pulling at the thread and revealing a much larger, more dangerous conspiracy, and they get brought into the fold of it by dangerous powers, and something like massively cosmic is revealed by the end of it all. It seemed to follow a lot of those same story beats. That said, the aesthetic and the nature of the reveal, the nature of the big crazy cosmic thing that they discovered, made this overall a different reading experience. So there is that. It's just something that I noticed as far as like the plot points and what the main character did along the way at different beats of the story. Like those things stood out to me as all. It's set in the distant future, not super distant, but a couple of centuries down the road. Mankind has started to terraform planets, and they've been occupied for a minute. Our main character is a guy named Easy Novak, short for Ezekiel, right? It messed me up because I've got a character in a forthcoming novel whose nickname is Ezzy, and it's short for Ezekiel, so maybe my brain is through the fog, it's mixing that up. But his name is Easy Novak, and he's a private eye, private investigator on this other terraformed planet. There was a cool explanation as to why there was something so mundane in yesteryear as a private investigator on a terraformed planet in the future. I won't spoil it. Just when you read it, you'll see. But Kupari did a really good job of cooking up a setting that would allow for a noir-style detective story, like a Dick Tracy in space, a Dick Spacey, if you will. And he and his little assistant, a girl named Lily, they take on a client who is trying to find her sister who's been missing for a little while. And when they do get to the bottom of who she is and why she's missing and who she's attached to and everything, it's like, oh, holy crap, something crazy bonkers is going on here. That being the case, I think it ends tastefully, and it deals really well with the concept that it's pitching here, like the idea that it's trying to examine and explore. There were a couple of times in the back half of this book when I thought, with this concept, Kupari could easily write like a Dresden in space if he wants to write Easy Novak having other cases down the road. Like here's something else like similar wacko that happened. Still leaning on the Dick Tracy aesthetic, but also like putting it out in space and kind of reminding everybody like, oh yeah, we've got hover cars and different credits, and like the nature of police work is a little bit different, but the motivation of the figures and the characters involved therein is pretty much the same. Content-wise, there was probably, I don't know, like fewer than 10 F-bombs, but there was enough of it. There was some language, but it wasn't constant or overly prevalent. Kupari, uses a good balance of like, okay, let's try to do some semi-convincing or semi-realistic portrayal, but let's also not go as overboard as people tend to do in real life. And I enjoyed it. I really like his characters because they just tend to be guys that are trying to do the right thing even when they end up in a difficult situation. And that's admirable. I like that. I also noticed that Kupari has talked a lot on social media, and this has become clear in different books that he's written over the years. Uh, his main character, Easy, is a big fan of revolvers because Mike Kupari likes using revolvers instead of regular pistols. Just a personal preference thing. So, dang it, sorry. When Easy states his preference for a revolver that he carries in a shoulder holster, I was like, that's definitely a Kupari move right there. Overall, a good book. I'll give it 4 stars. I think that it got a little bit, maybe not wandering is the right word, but it got I felt like the back half might have been benefited by another edit to make it just a little bit tidier. But that's just me nitpicking. This was a cool book, and the thing that they find in the course of their investigation into this missing sister was very cool. Basically finding. Well, no, I'm not going to say it. You should check out Trouble Walked In by Mike Kupari. I'm going to let you go now because I am gassed and I still got to go do some weightlifting. So drive safe. See you out there.